Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily. According to a poll carried out by the Indicator survey for TVP News, if the elections were held today, the clear winner would be the Law and Justice Party. The poll shows that the United Right would continue its independent rule after the elections, which take place on October the 13th.
According to the survey carried out by Indicator, 44.3% of voters are ready to vote for Law and Justice, which marks an increase of 3% compared to the previous survey. The Civic Platform Party can count on the support of over 26% of voters, the result being nearly 2.5% worse than last month. The third place on the podium is occupied by the left with a result of 11.9%. The survey shows that the same would also include the Polish coalition formed by the Polish People's Party and the Kukiz 15 movement. 6.1% of the respondents want to vote for this formation. The right-wing Confederation is under the electoral threshold with a score of 4.1%. 7% of those surveyed do not yet know who they will vote for. The survey was conducted between September 23rd and 25th by telephone on a sample of 1,000 people.
The US Congress has approved Poland's purchase of 32 fifth-generation F-35 multi-purpose fighter planes. Mariusz Błaszczak, head of the Ministry of Defense, announced the decision made by Congress on Twitter.
The US Congress has agreed to sell 32 state-of-the-art F-35 fighter jets to Poland. This is one of the last steps before entering into the contract, but this is not the end of our work. We will negotiate hard to achieve the best price possible.
Today sees the celebration of Territorial Defence Forces Day. Over 22,000 soldiers currently serve in the Territorial Defence Forces. The new branch of the Polish Army is the equivalent to the National Guard in the US. Ultimately, the Territorial Defence Forces are aiming for over 50,000 soldiers.
Not accidentally is the Territorial Defence Forces Day celebrated on September 27th. On this day, 80 years ago, the Service for Poland's Victory was established in Warsaw. It was the first Polish resistance movement which started the Polish underground state's activity. Today, during the official celebrations, the President of Poland Andrzej Duda handed military banners to the Podlaskie, Lubelskie and Podkarpackie Territorial Defence Brigades that were formed as the first on the Eastern Wall.
2.5 roku temu. 2.5 years ago, I was asked to hand out those military banners. I said no. Only a real and committed soldier who deserves it should receive the military banner. Today, I can see that you have proven yourself as soldiers. Thank you for that.
Na ten sztandar zasłużył.
The Minister of National Defense, Mariusz Błaszczak, handed nominations for the positions of commanders of the Territorial Defense Forces brigades formed on the western side of the country.
Obiecuję wam.
There are people who claim that the Territorial Defense Forces are useless. I promise we're not going to shut them down, because they are gathering steam.
Wielką siłę Wojska Polskiego.
According to Lieutenant Colonel Marek Pietrzak, one of the difficulties that soldiers have to face is separation from their families.
On this special day, we have to thank our families, because they also serve our homeland.
The Territorial Defense Forces are supposed to become a key formation for the local defense. They also can be used in case of natural disasters or catastrophes. By the end of this year, several dozen basic and compensatory training sessions are planned for several thousand volunteers who will join the structures of the Territorial Defense Forces.
President Andrzej Duda, head of his Chancellery, Krzysztof Szczerski, Minister of Agriculture, Jan Krzysztof Ardanowski, and President of the oil and gas giant PKN Orlen, Daniel Obajtek, have won the President Lech Kaczynski Promethean Awards, which were presented yesterday by the website niezależne.pl. A ceremonial gala took place at the Portoczynski Gallery. President Andrzej Duda received a special award for his creative contribution to the development of the Intermarium concept, that is, an alliance between Poland and a number of states in Central Eastern Europe.
We wanted to appreciate someone who would be a natural continuator of the tradition of what Lech Kaczynski did, which was the renewal of Polish geopolitics. We are talking about what Americans call geopolitics, which is looking at the interests of the Polish nation through a system of international connections. In Poland, it is a completely natural element, a part of our patriotism. Today, this continuator is President Andrzej Duda.
Kontynuatorem jest prezydent Andrzej Duda.
Lech Kaczyński był
Lech Kaczyński was criticized and ridiculed by the media as a preacher of romantic visions, a romantic in terms of foreign policy. He was put in contrast to the pragmatists of the then government, which was formed at the end of 2007. That government prevented the implementation of Lech Kaczyński's policy. The most romantic manifestation of Lech Kaczyński's concept is the gas terminal in Świnoujście, a very romantic place. I encourage you to visit it. I announced, both during the election campaign and later, this concept of President Lech Kaczyński, his great concept of foreign policy. It is not a historical concept, because it is not a dead concept, it is a living concept.
Snap elections in Austria will take place tomorrow, and it looks likely the Austrian People's Party, under the leadership of Prime Minister Sebastian Kurz, and the Freedom Party of Austria, led by Norbert Hofer, will form another coalition government. The two parties ruled together until earlier this spring, when a tape was leaked showing the then party leader of the Freedom Party, Heinz-Christian Strache, willingly engage in corrupt practices with a woman who pretended to have contacts with Russian oligarchs.
Sebastian Kurz, whose party is polling at 34%, told supporters that a vote for his party was a vote for a consistent policy in the fight against immigration.
Those who vote for us will get a consistent policy in the fight against immigration, tax cuts, no new debt and a responsible policy characterized by our style that people saw in recent years. That's what we are running for. Thank you very much for your dedication, and please let's make use of the last 48 hours.
The new party leader of the Austrian Freedom Party, Norbert Hofer, told the press that his party is on its way back after the scandal caused by the previous party leader.
Yes, Heinz-Christian Strache fell into an evil trap set by criminals and hoodlums. He was tricked very badly by, we're here, the Eastern Mafia and the like. It was difficult for us to immediately set the party on the right track after that. Managed it because we all pulled together. I would like to thank the provincial governors, the general secretary and all of you. Yes, we stabilized the party, and this stable party marches on to election day.
Supporters of the party argue that the scandal won't do much damage to the party, currently polling at around 20%, as Hofer is a better party leader than Strache.
Strache is not the FPO, and the FPO is not Strache. He is not the party. There are better people. Hofer is better than Strache.
With Salvini out of government in Italy, a coalition government between Kurz and Hofer could prove beneficial for the Visegrad Group in its opposition to the EU's plan of introducing a mandatory EU migrant relocation quota system.
Thank you very much for joining me here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily weather. It's followed by the business, then it's the culture, history, and finally the travel.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tonight. Some fog is expected over Białystok and Rzeszów. In the rest of the country, sky will be an overcast but without rainfalls. The temperature will range from 8 degrees in Olsztyn to 13 in Zielona Góra. The pressure will be low. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. We will accept alternating rain and sunlight across the country. Temperature will range from 12 degrees in Białystok to 20 on the south of Poland. Gusty wind is expected almost in every region. Let's check the weather for the next days. On Sunday, much more sun will appear, but rainfalls are expected as well. On Monday, pressure will drop again, but temperature will increase to 22 degrees on the southeast. On Tuesday, sunlight will be back in all country. Temperature will range from 13 to 19 degrees. Thank you for watching and see you soon.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight we'll talk about blockchain, and there's a good opportunity because we have chairman of the Blockchain Development Foundation, Mr. Kamil Gancarz. So welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
And we'll talk in a little bit different angle. Let's talk about security of data, of our own data that we share and distribute on the internet. practically anywhere, when you log into any social portal, when you go shopping, when you log into your bank, they pretty much know everything about you. They know about your decision, they know about your finance status, they know about your preferences and so on. And even our very much beloved mobile phones are spying on us. This is the knowledge that should be public, but it's not yet, surprisingly. The blockchain seems like an answer to all these concerns.
Can be the answer. It depends how we use that. There is a special way of using blockchain, or actually special way of creating blockchain, is called zero knowledge proof. That means that we can share only some part, very small portion of the information without sharing all of our data. So let's say we will have blockchain ID. In future, there would be IDs and passports issued on blockchain. And let's say that we have that document and we need to open new bank account. So usually we need to disclose of all of our information. Often our documents are even scanned or photocopied. So they have all of our data from that passport or from that ID. But if we employ that zero knowledge proof technology with the within the blockchain, we can actually share only our personal identification number, our ID number, or just our first, second name and date of birth, and they could verify that we are really that person holding that document without seeing that document. So that's quite a breakthrough, because often there are leaks from the institution. Maybe banks doesn't do that, but often other financial institutions, or maybe not even financial institutions, even crypto exchanges, so actually that's my market, but there are many hacks and leaks from this kind of entities. So if any company employs KYC, know your client procedures, and they ask for a bank statement, or they ask for utility bill, or they ask for passport or ID, that document can be leaked. So that is imposing risk on our data. And we have now GDPR in European Union, and we are protecting very much our, actually law protects very much our identity and all our data. But technology nowadays without blockchain, that's quite complicated, because there is some central storage. If it's central storage, somebody can access from that institution.
If can access, can copy it anywhere else and keep it and threaten us, for example, or demand a ransom because those data will be released.
A few years ago, there was a case where one of the banks in Liechtenstein, private banks with high security, there was an IT guy, I know the story exactly, the IT guy from Switzerland, from Zurich, was working at the bank with the improvement of that system there, and he take a pen drive and copied all clients' data to that pen drive and actually sold that to German intelligence. that information for over 20 million euros.
With people who probably have billions of euros in that bank. This is very much important, because we are going further in the development of this digital economy, the 5G, the situation when we will not need a mobile phone to prove that we are us, it's just our face, our eyes, our retina, whatever. This 5G networks will recognize us on the street. When we say we want a taxi, it will be there in no time. If we go to the restaurant, we will be recognized by our face, and all the transaction will run in the background. And this is dangerous.
Or maybe people wouldn't approve that. Maybe that's convenient, but maybe they would like to have their own private keys for blockchain access stored somewhere like on special device, can be even these hardware IDs. Actually, I cannot disclose much, but we as a foundation are working on the solution for those kind of hardware solution for blockchain. But it's very secret nowadays. So just to want to like do some mark that the future can be created with the hardware solution with your own private key stored there, and you decide where you share that you are that person.
We know the country, that's People's Republic of China, that introduced social score. Based on your behavior, you are granted, for example, the allowance to the air travel.
Or high-speed trains.
Or high-speed trains.
Yes.
And the legitimate question is now, are we heading in that direction when the People's Republic of China, who owns the 5G technology right now, will grant us the right to board a train or airplane in Warsaw? Why not? They are having all this data, they're having all this information about us.
Fortunately, we are independent, but if we actually employ too much technology and we rely on only single country, that can be a problem. That's why we need to build our European, our Polish also solutions.
Or Western, let's say.
Yeah, Western, but I would say that let's stick to a European-based solution. And if we do that, and if we employ, like I said, blockchain technology, not centralized, because if we centralize, it doesn't matter if they are Chinese or they're Americans or they are even Polish, because if somebody hacks to that database, that can be foreign intelligence using those data. So if we encrypt that, and if only user has access, or just, let's say, some central government if needs some portion of information, then it's way different. So that's why we need to protect data also with the blockchain. And that's the future. Or the future can be way different, but then we can be as slaves to the system.
And that's the situation we don't want to happen. Kamil Ganclarz, Blockchain Development Foundation, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For this brief insight into the future. And this really depends on us, how we vote, how we elect our leaders, and how we tell our leaders what do we want. Is that correct?
That's true. And also our choices with the technology, because we can demand certain technologies.
And please demand security. That was it for this edition of Poland Daily Business. Thank you very much for your attention.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. We will expect alternating rain and sunlight across the country. Temperature will range from 12 degrees in Białystok to 20 on the south of Poland. Gusty wind is expected almost in every region. Let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast for our continent. On the south of Europe, temperature will rise. The highest temperature we will see in Athens and Madrid, 28 degrees. Warmer in Scandinavia, and there the temperature will range from 10 to 14 degrees. In Central Europe and on British Islands, more rainfalls are expected. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and this is Poland Daily Culture. Our today's guest is a very mysterious person. One say he's a Jewish agent or a member of a Masonic lodge. Another accuse him of controlling the politicians. Many dislike his friendship with Father Rydzyk. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of From the Depths Foundation, Johnny Daniels. But before we expose all Johnny's secrets, let's watch a few of his actions.
When we first came to the zoo a year ago and saw the tombstones, the Matsevas lying on the floor, we thought with that the story ended. We thought that this, like so many other places, was just part of our painful past, was just part of painful heritage. However, what we discovered very quickly was the story of the Żabiński family. A story like so many others that few of us know. And to be able to go and come to this villa and see it recreated so well, and go down to the basement where we were thankful and lucky enough to play a part in its recreation, is something that truly needs to be cherished. It's a site that everybody has to come to. It's a place that people need to come to enjoy, to feel what people doing the right thing can do.
Johnny, as a founder of Foundation from the Depths, you're also giving an award, Żabiński Award, to those who helped saving the Jews. It's, I would say, additional award to Yad Vashem, which is normally giving the title of Righteous Among the Nation. Why are you doing it?
Well, first of all, we don't give an award. What we do is we say thank you. We started working with the Żabiński family initially in Warsaw Zoo, and we had numerous different ceremonies where we publicly thanked and honored those who risked their lives to save Jews and sometimes gave their lives, as was with the case of Member of Parliament Daniel Kawczynski, British Member of Parliament, and his great-uncle Jan, his wife and daughter, who were murdered and obviously never honored or publicly thanked. So in these scenarios, we just step up and say thank you. And I think that this is what's crucial from these kind of ceremonies, is that we're able to publicly say thank you. And it's something that we don't often hear, right? All of us hear critique daily. On the bottom of this video, in the talkbacks, there's going to be a million different things, and a lot of them not so nice. The vast majority of them not so nice. Very, very few will be positive comments and a level of positivity. And my firm belief is that this is absolutely missing from every kind of discourse, which is why it's important for me to say thank you on a personal level. My phone beeps at 7:45 every day, and I go through my phone and I thank everybody who I've come into contact with that day, on a personal level. But on a broader level, for me and for my foundation, to stand up and to thank people for doing something so extraordinary is such a basic right that we've been able to gain such support from across the board, from Hollywood celebrities, from Israeli celebrities, from Israeli politicians, Polish politicians, American politicians, British parliamentarians, parliamentarians from all around the world, media from all around the world. People have covered these ceremonies and covered these events where we publicly say thank you. And the reason we do it, on one hand, is to give thanks and to give honor and credit to these people, but it's also to make sure that their stories are exposed to the world. Because when dealing with the Holocaust, there's a very clear message, right? If you go and visit Auschwitz-Birkenau, you leave broken. You visit this German Nazi death camp, and you leave saddened.
Absolutely.
What's the message? Don't be bad, don't kill. For most of us, that is a message that we sort of get anyway.
Should it never happen again, or
that
people are monstrous.
Exactly, but for most of us, it's a kind of a message that we get anyway, right? That is ingrained in us as normal, decent human beings. Yes. But the message of the righteous is so crucial because, you know, this also helps us today. When I sit down and speak to any of these righteous, and I see what it was to stand up during those times, how much more should I be standing up during these times, right? How much more should I be standing up for the rights of anybody else, especially when there's no threat of death for me or my family, right? When I see the righteous who put their lives on the line to stand up for someone who is different to them, it should be my calling to stand up for people who are less fortunate than I, in whatever situation, or people who are discriminated against. You know, be it minority groups, Christians in the Middle East, be it LGBT community here, whatever it is, we have to stand up. When someone is called out and discriminated against in a racial manner for a political view, it's our turn to stand and do what's right. And we learn that from the righteous. And this is why telling their story is so important.
Could you pick up one of the stories as well and give us an example of people who got a Żabiński Award?
So, I mean, you know, we've honored and thanked so many people publicly. One remarkable story is the family, the Skocilas family, which was a family in Rakówka, a small town near Ciepelów, which is near Zvolin, which is about an hour and a half south of Warsaw. This was a family that took and hid in a purpose-built bunker under their kitchen for Jewish people. The mayor of the city, unfortunately, ratted the family out, and the German Nazi police came, rounded up the entire Polish family, and burnt them alive in the barn. Killed every single one of them, besides their young son, who was not at home at the time. To fill the quota, they took the neighbor's child instead. This entire family was murdered. Living in the house today are the grandchildren of this one young boy who survived. Yes. For us to say thank you is something that was such an innate, normal reaction. It was by far the least that we could do. I wish I could do more for these people. I don't know how, I don't know what. But at a very basic, simple level, the right thing to do was to stand up and say thank you. So this is one of the people we've honored. This coming November 14th, we'll be holding another very special ceremony here in Warsaw, where we'll be publicly thanking more people and giving them honor and credit publicly that they rightly deserve.
I think, again, is a great punchline to say publicly how important it is to say publicly thank you to people. So, viewers of Poland Daily Culture, thank you for watching.
Behind me, the Pałac Podlachy here in Warsaw. This is the home of Prince Józef Poniatowski. His home, the place where he had his famous parties, also the War Office. Who was Józef Poniatowski? He was in fact a major figure in Polish history. Patriot, general, Minister of War, sometime Marshal of France. Join me in this episode of Poland Daily History, where we learn more about this remarkable Polish figure. Dominic, before we move on to what is probably for many people, and indeed for all of us, probably the most exciting part of his life story and his part in the Napoleonic campaigns, can we just say a bit about his life here in the palace where we're filming today? I mean, what did his life look like? His social life, his private life, to the extent we know anything about it? I mean, what sort of a man was he, away from the Minister of War, away from the military commander?
The unofficial
yeah, exactly,
Joseph.
Yes. The sort of gossip column approach to his life.
Of the record.
Exactly, yes.
I mean, he was a very colorful, he had a very colorful personality, if one may say so. A man that I mean, you have to take to. I mean, it's impossible not to like him. That comes out from the sources. But in terms of let's say, sexual ethics. he didn't excel in sexual ethics. I mean, his affairs were well known. His numerous affairs were well known in Warsaw. The city was gossiping about it. I mean, he didn't refrain from drinking alcohol. So we may say, oh, he was a reveler. He was a rake. What I was, the point I was trying to make some time ago was that these are not those vices that the Polish people, the Polish nation, wouldn't forgive him. Because the thing that would be disqualifying would be, of course, treason.
Yes.
That would be, but not this kind of, petite sins that everybody has. The most famous lover was a French aristocrat, Madame Marquis de Vauban.
Right.
That was his. Many of those guys and women had to leave France during the revolution because
otherwise
that was very risky.
They'd have lost their heads.
Literally. We've mentioned the future Louis XVIII.
Louis XVIII, yes.
He was part of this. Those migration, let's say, to other countries, which were more safe for aristocracy. Many of them traveled to Russia, and we find it's very interesting because we find French names at that time because those guys were quite talented,
yes,
well educated, and so on and so on. So we find them out. They pop up in Russian history at that time. That's quite interesting. But also British names. Now the famous Minister of War during the Russian campaign, Barclay de Tolly.
Oh,
I mean,
right,
it's not a Russian name.
It's not a Russian name. No. I'm not entirely sure. It's slightly more French than British. But yes, you're right. Probably Norman. Yes, and so, what was the attitude of the sort of population as a whole to his sort of rather exciting social life?
If he had ended like this, I mean, drinking and womanizing. That's my theory. He would be remembered badly. But the thing is that there is an ongoing process, and after this binge drinking period, I mean, he becomes a patriot. As we mentioned, the organizer of the Polish army on one hand, and on the other, the victor from Russia, so the savior of the Duchy of Warsaw in 1809, yes. and on the third hand, he also incarnates the Polish loyalty to Napoleon, which is not important because it is Napoleon, but this Polish loyalty to Napoleon represents the Western orientation of Polish politics.
Yes, that is a good point, actually. Yes, this constant tension in this part of the world, but particularly for Poland,
because
wanting to be drawing itself to the West and not being.
Because we have to be frank. I mean, Poland is where West meets the East.
Yes,
like in Ukraine, but. Poland is more to the west, Ukraine is more to the east.
Yes.
And there were attempts to make Poland the western outpost of Russia, and we prefer to be the eastern outpost of Europe than to be a western outpost of Russia.
That's understandable, because it's rather interesting, isn't it, that, as you say, Poniatowski had this French lover, and of course Napoleon had this Polish lover,
Maria Walewska,
who produced a son which historians seem to think was probably his favourite son.
A very talented man. He was. He became a minister of. Again, French is coming first to my mind.
That's all right.
Of foreign affairs during the Second Empire. So Napoleon III was at that time at power. So he must have been talented.
Well, he must have been talented. Well, he probably obviously had talented. Yes, had a talented father. But that is interesting, and this sort of, because we think of now to date, we couldn't imagine, although maybe we can, that in the modern world our leaders would behave in quite the same way. But of course that's been very anachronistic, because for the aristocracy, particularly in the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th century, the personal life was actually very, very different. So one can imagine, as we are in these marvellous surroundings of this palace, been a very good venue for parties and excessive drinking.
Excessive drinking and promiscuity.
Yeah.
So you could just wander around here in the Museum of the Countryside in Mazovsha, can't you? And see all kinds of amazing things. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. I'm with Gosia and with the inimitable Arthur Gorniewski. Gosia's our guide here while we're walking about and seeing amazing things in this reconstructed village. What do you do? Bringing these buildings from all over, right?
Yeah, from the neighborhood of Sierpz.
Yeah, so it's like a collection to preserve these things.
That's right.
So that they don't go away. And you get some idea of it's quite a big place, you know, as we're walking around. You could spend easily a whole day here.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
a couple of days probably, just walking around to really, to see was I doing this? To see everything. So what are we going to see next?
We are going to see the house of the mayor of the village, the head of the village, the boss.
The boss of the village? Does he have a big chair we can take turns sitting in? So we feel like we're in charge?
No, probably not.
No, there's no big
But,
chair.
yeah, but you can see his house and how the farm looked like.
And what's this behind us?
This one is actually a school, a village
It's a school?
Yeah.
So we'd have to go there if we wanted to get any book learning.
Yeah.
Right? That famous book learning. And behind us, I see something. It's some kind of a religious figure.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that the Virgin Mary?
That's right. It's a Virgin Mary.
I can't see so well from here, but yeah. Okay, that's the Virgin Mary. And what's that all about?
Yeah, it's a shrine, and such kind of shrines were built usually near the crossroads.
Okay.
Because as you can see, here we have a crossroad, and they were supposed to protect the villagers and also people who used to travel through the village.
So if Robert Johnson had been at the crossroads and there'd been one of those, then probably he wouldn't have met the devil and he wouldn't have written all those great songs.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, we have our icon protecting us, which is great. And here we are. So which way to the mayor's house? This way? Let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. This series of episodes, we're traveling into the countryside and into the past. The town of Sierpz, 1.5 hours from Warsaw to the northwest. Here you will find the Museum of the Polish Countryside. We'll travel into the past to see what life was like 100, 200, 250 years ago in Poland. That is, in the Polish countryside. This living museum is set on 60 hectares. There's a manor house and all kinds of different farmhouses. You could easily spend a whole day here wandering through the past. That's what we did. The Polish word for these living history museums is skansen, and it's kind of a speciality of Polish culture. If you're heading from Warsaw, say, to Torun or to Gdansk, it's well worth stopping off, making a slight diversion. It's fun for kids of all ages. So let's take a walk through the Museum of the Polish Countryside in Mazowsza at Sierps. We hope you like what you see, so like us on YouTube and subscribe. Poland Daily Travel.
All right, so this is, this looks like the mayor's place, right? The summer solstice, what?
Solstice.
Solstice?
Solstice.
Solstice.
Solstice. That's
It
right.
sounds like solstice to me. But apparently that is the name of a mayor, right?
Yeah, that's right. The
Okay.
head of the village.
I feel like I'm towering over you. Yeah, this is about, you come over here.
Yeah, okay.
I'll stand here. Now I feel better. I think you do too. And the mayor's house is behind us, right?
That's right.
So what is different about the mayor's house than everybody else's house except the manor house? Because the manor house is the top of the line, right?
That's right, but
Locally.
definitely this house inside, so the interior is much more elegant than these that we saw previously. And as you can see, the farm is also very, very big, and there's there are a lot of buildings. So that's also the proof that the owners were very, very wealthy.
And it's got bigger, the area. There's a bigger barn, there's more outbuildings.
That's right.
Yeah. And inside we can see that there's, as we saw when we went inside, we saw that there's glass, of course, so we can't walk into the rooms, which is why we're talking about it here. But there's a pewter teapot, and there's a nice clock, and so it's not the manor house, but it's still pretty nice, right?
That's
and there's a
right.
floor is made of what?
Made of wood
And
bricks. And bricks, that's right.
and you were saying something about bricks,
Yeah,
which I think
that's
is
right.
worth saying, yeah.
Yeah, because red bricks were very expensive in the 19th century, so only the richest people could afford to make a floor of red brick.
So if you had a brick floor, people went, I don't know, have you been over the mayor's house lately? The guy's got a brick floor. It's amazing. You want to go over and see that, right? It was like a big deal in the village, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And the mayor also had his own pew, his own seating arrangement in the local church, right?
Yeah, definitely.
No, of course. So it's the manor house, and then the mayor guy is next to them going, am I doing okay? Am I doing okay? Right, all right. That's what that is. And then all around, what are the different buildings? Arthur pointed out already, you did, didn't you? There's the pigeon thing again. Yeah. That pigeon soup that they tortured.
I wonder...
It was like they tortured people with pigeon soup, right? Is that what they did?
Yeah,
It was
probably.
kind of a torture.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, no, I'm feeling very much better now. Please don't give me the chicken soup. I mean, the pigeon soup. Chicken soup would be okay. What else? We have a well here?
Yeah, it's a well with a well sweep.
Yeah.
Here we also have a granary. So people used to keep grain and straw or hay inside.
The one in the
Granary is
middle.
this building in the middle, right?
In the middle.
Yeah.
That's right. Behind the granary there is also the biggest barn in our museum.
Right.
So that's interesting. Why they would have the granary right in the middle of this yard? It's like to protect it?
To protect it, that's right, because you can easily see it from the cottage. So
Okay.
the farmer, the soltis, he could observe.
That was the wealth.
That's right.
That was for the
Because-
winter.
So nobody would steal it, or because people would come and steal your grain, obviously.
Of course.
Like in the old West, they would steal your horse, but here they would steal your grain,
Yeah.
because that was a form of wealth. It's an interesting way of looking at life, isn't it? Yeah.
So what kind of animals would they have in here? Because we have one barn over there, another in here, and there is one more.
That's right. So
Is that an authentic helicopter from
from the 19th century?
yeah, from the 19th century? It's a 19th century helicopter. Amazing. Did you do that? Arrange that for us?
No, not really. I don't have such power.
You don't have such power.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you had. All right. And what
Yeah,
was the-
so the animals, yeah. So here, the owner of that estate, of that house, he definitely had horses. And so that was also different from the other farmers from the village. But also some goats, chickens, of course, turkeys even.
Mm-hmm. So do you think sometimes he would just come? Join me. He would just come and he would sit on this bench in front of his house. And,
after work?
Yeah, and just look around and go, it's all mine. It's all mine, and I'm the mayor.
Yeah, he definitely did that.
I bet he did that a lot, didn't he? He was very proud of himself, wasn't he?
That's right.
Poland Daily Travel. We're at the
Museum of the Mazovian Countryside.
Where?
In Sierpc.
Oh boy, if you want to get it said, get experts to say it. Poland Daily Travel. Stay with us for the next, or come back and see us for the next exciting installment with Arthur and with Gosha.